Hey, tourpreneurs, it's Mitch Bach, and just a quick note before we begin today's episode. Tourpreneur is currently sponsored by Google. We're thankful for their support of our community, and we are offering with them a completely free course helping you unlock the power and potential of Google's Things to Do program, which is specifically helping tour operators add their tours to Google in new ways that gives you new exposure and more direct bookings. To learn more, go to tourpreneur.com/Google. And as always, show notes, more resources, links to our newsletter, our business coaching community, and so much more are available on tourpreneur.com. Now to the episode.
Today's episode is brought to you by Checkfront, the booking platform trusted by over 5,000 tour and activity operators around the world. You can start your own free 21-day trial over at checkfront.com.
Welcome to the Tourpreneur Podcast. Travel industry veteran Shane Whaley will take you on a journey with fellow tourpreneurs, sharing their tips, ideas, insights, and success stories to inspire you to make your tour business the best it can be. And now, here is your host, Shane Whaley.
Hello and welcome to episode 144 of the Tourpreneur Podcast. We have a bonus episode for you today. I've invited onto the podcast Jessica Gregory, who is the Director of Marketing at Arival. How are you, Jessica?
I am fabulous. Thank you very much for the invite.
Pleasure. I wanted to chat with you briefly about an event you guys have coming up on the 24th and 25th of March. And it's all about one of my favorite topics. No, not football, food, and beer, but content. And are we content with our content? And you are putting on a content masterclass.
We are indeed, yes. And this one's very different, I think, if anyone's attended some of our Arival events before, because this one's much more, the word masterclass comes into play here. It's classes and units. So it's about going a lot more in depth, much more around workshops. And we have 3 different tracks so that you can choose what you're interested in and kind of concentrate in those very specific areas. So we're doing a little bit on words and writing and blogs, and then we'll be doing a little bit more on kind of distribution, how to get that out there, and then also the visual side of things as well, both in the videos and in imagery and doing great things with your photos.
What I'm really excited about with the content masterclass is, first of all, this is not a webinar where we sit with our coffee and just watch, maybe make the odd note, whilst we're looking at TikTok videos on our phone or looking out the window, whatever it is. This is actually very interactive. And I hear on good authority that there's homework and assignments involved in this. So this is a very interactive masterclass that you're putting on. So this is not an event that we've become accustomed to over the last year. And for me, why I think this is really important is that there's many of us operators that just don't have budget to hire a marketing agency. I wish we all did, because, you used to work at TMA. I know they do excellent work. I would much rather outsource all of my marketing to people who do this for a living. Most of us haven't taken in any bookings in the last year, so we just don't have that revenue. So this is really important for operators to get a real grounding in content and all the different pillars of content that's out there. And I also think that content is so important because it revolves around storytelling. And each of us with our businesses, we're telling a story. What would you say is the most exciting session for you as you look at the agenda as a marketer yourself? Which of these sessions are you like, I can't wait for that one?
Oh, see, that's always very difficult, isn't it? Because as a tour operator, I think I would probably go towards the kind of the how-tos and very practicals around writing content, especially things around tour descriptions, making sure that it's really custom to the audience and thinking about your audience. So if I was a tour operator, I'd probably say that. But as a marketer myself, I am continually frustrated with things like with websites and making sure that you've really thought about the user journey. And that does tie in to the content side of things. So we do have one session in particular that we'll be going through the UX part of how to make sure that you're representing your content as best you possibly can on your website. So for me, that's probably my area, but I can imagine that listeners will be much more interested in things like the distribution of content and making sure that they're really showcasing their tours as best they possibly can.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny you mentioned that because no pressure on Marika Brewster, but the session that appeals to me the most is get the most from your posts, content distribution made easy, because I think those of us who are creating content today, it's like a big jigsaw puzzle. Where do you post it? How do you post it? How are you going to get visibility? How is it going to get noticed? How is it going to get clicked on? Where is it going to get clicked on? And there's just so many questions around that. And I find that a constant struggle with the amount of content put out here at Tourpreneur. How do I make that easy? Because I'm constantly looking at where does it get traction. So for instance, on Instagram, I don't really put a lot out. I should be putting more out, but it's like some posts get better traction than others. Why is that? And I'm really excited to hear from not just Marika, but all of your experts on the masterclass about what they are seeing out there, what's resonating. And again, what I like about the Arival content masterclass is there are tons of content creation and content marketing workshops out there. A lot more expensive than what you guys are charging, by the way, but they're not focused on our industry. And I see this a lot. I see this a lot with Instagram marketing courses. Like, great, okay, I will get the basis, I can apply it. But the Arival event, this is aimed at tours, activities, experiences, and attractions, isn't it?
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And I think you touched on it ever so slightly just there before about the homework idea. And I know as grown-ups, we probably don't want homework being set, but they are meant to be designed so that it's hands-on practical work. So the idea is that you participate during the event. So it's over the 2 days. And you listen to the speakers and you get to engage with them. And then after that, there's a week where you can think about what you just learned in the class before, and put some of that into practice and come back and do, if you've ever attended one of our events before, then you'll know it's the roundtable format for that. So it's one-on-one communication with one of the experts, and it's actually going to be the same speakers that were at the event the week before. So by joining up, you actually are part of both sections. So I think that's going to be quite fun to see what people have done over that week and like what ideas they've managed to stimulate. And because again, you're doing it in those small group formats, it means that you can kind of glean a few ideas of other people as well, where they may have come up with things that are slightly different from yours, making your homework so much more stronger at the end. So I think I really enjoy that, because how many times have you watched a webinar, written down some notes and gone, oh yeah, I'll totally do that when I get time to, but because you've not got a deadline, you just don't do it. So hopefully this will help kind of put a little bit more structure into that as well. But again, it is our first time doing a masterclass, so any feedback as we go will be really, really valuable, and we'll really love to see how it turns out at the end with people sitting down and getting to work on their projects.
So just to clarify that then, the masterclass is on 24th, 25th of March, 2 half days. Love that, by the way, that you do them on half days. And then the following week, there's roundtables. Is that correct?
On the 30th, then the 31st, and the 1st of April. So those will be laid out, and those ones are kind of live. So you will want to participate at the time slots, but we'll have those all in so that you can book into them in advance, and it will be in your areas of interest. So whatever ones that really captured your interest right at the beginning, those will be the same roundtables that you join afterwards.
And for our friends and our listeners in Asia and Australasia, the sessions will be recorded, correct? The 24th and 25th.
Yep, and the roundtables as well. So even if they weren't able to participate at the time, and like we all know it's a bit awkward with roundtables sometimes being recorded, but it's so good to be able to learn from them and see what other people were talking about. So you still get the learnings from it, and we'll post them up shortly afterwards. So everyone will get a little notification if they weren't able to attend, that those will be available to them on demand.
The Content Masterclass then features 3 unique tracks with a total of 8 class units. And you were saying earlier on that the 3 tracks was it writing, visuals?
Writing, distribution, so content management, the written word, and then visual and digital.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that you can't attend all of them. So the way that we've formatted it means that you do them in two blocks. So for example, like you might do content management the first day, and that will really interest you. But the next day, then you can swap it around for whatever was on the diary that's the opposite. So during the event, you split into two groups. So for example, one person might be on the visual and digital track, and then another on the content management, and then you swap the next day. So you're not missing out by what you choose. It's just how you spend your time and where you want to invest your energy depending on the day.
Brilliant. One of the other sessions, they're all great sessions, by the way. I think there's something for everybody here, whether it's emails, videos, or photos. But one of the areas that I struggle with just promoting the podcast is photos, right? I just point and click with my iPhone. I don't know how to use the filters properly. I'm just not wired that way. And I see that with a lot of operator websites that the photos aren't great. And I'm always, when I'm chatting to operators, I go back, work on your photos, work on your copy. This is so important. When people land on your page, you get that opportunity to really show off your experience. So I'm happy to see that you have taking great photos, images that connect and convert in the agenda.
Yep, exactly what it says on the tin as well. That is what we'll be covering. And also doing some video there as well. So I think it's Chris Torres, if I remember rightly, is doing a session on video content too. So we'll be covering both areas of how to take those pictures, where to distribute them, making sure that they're really showcasing. And then also thinking before that picture, like what needs to be in it to really convey what your tour is about, like age demographic, things like that, and making sure that we're being really, really selective with our imagery. So that's the area that I'm the most interested in. But that's, I think like you, I'm just like, got to be nice images. That's the goal.
Yeah, and these are projects that potentially we can work on now. I mean, it depends where in the world you're listening to this and which stage you're in terms of the recovery from the pandemic. But if you can get out and about, you're allowed out, then now's the time to get out and maybe get on your tours and take these photos. And especially if they're not surrounded by tourists, you can actually get a clean shot. I remember seeing Rob at Trip Hacks a couple of months ago. He was in DC taking photos along some of their landmarks. And normally, you can't move for tourists. So he was able to get shots of monuments that he couldn't in the past. And of course, we want lots of tourists to be there. I'm not reveling in that, but I'm just saying now is the opportunity to make sure you can get these photographs ready for when we reopen.
Absolutely. And I think we're all hoping and looking at the trends that we're going to have a really good summer, or yes, as good a summer as we possibly can. So what would be really amazing right now is if people are investing the time and energy into their content, say, for example, writing blogs, like it's very time consuming sitting down and writing out a few blogs. But if you have the structure there and you feel confident with what you're doing, you'll be able to set some content aside so that actually when you are busy and hopefully taking those bookings, then you have this content going out and you can schedule it in advance, and it'll help build momentum and hopefully guide some of the content that you're doing for your tours. So we think that this is the perfect time to be doing it. I know we've covered these kind of subjects previously in a few different webinars in the past, but really now that we can see the end yes, to this very dark tunnel, this is really where we want to be like, right, if you haven't done it already, these are the practical tools that you will need to start setting yourself up for summer.
I agree. And I love blogging. I think it's great for SEO, but the writing session that excites me is Kate Cornell, Tourism Solved, is leading a session, writing tour and activity descriptions, how to make them great, because I think we can all use help with this. And as I said at the top of the show, we don't all have money to go out and get a ninja copywriter in to write up our tours. So that, for me, is another essential session.
Absolutely. And on that topic as well, so some may have seen already on our social media that we do have a scholarship program available for these events as well. So if you maybe attended some of our previous ones, you might know if you're a small operator or if you've been financially affected at all, then you can apply to our scholarship program. It is on our website. I'll make sure I give it to you as well, Shane, so that it can go out into the wider audience. But this one is for the Pro Insider access. So it will actually give you access to not only all of the events that are part of Excel, but also our reports and any other content that falls inside of our Excel series. So really, really good. I very much encourage you to complete that as well.
What's the criteria for the scholarship?
The criteria for small operators is under 100,000 for 2019, or have recently become unemployed due to the impact of COVID-19 in our industry. However, you're more than welcome to complete it if you're not sure, and we can see once the form comes in whether you would be applicable or not. However, I do very much encourage you to complete that if you would like access to these courses and feel that maybe the price point is a little bit sensitive for you to be able to learn on these.
Got a quick message from one of our sponsors, and then we'll get right back to today's show. Stay tuned. Do you spend many nights sitting at your desk trying to figure something out in your booking system to make it work better for your business? With Checkfront, you'll always have access to a friendly support team who's quick to reply with a step-by-step solution no matter what you need help with. Find out other ways Checkfront can make things easier for you at checkfront.com/tourpreneur. So there is a scholarship, just so I can understand this, and then for small operators,
we have the two. So you can either, we've got it for the Excel series. So that's it's not just the Excel series. I should really clarify that because that's part of the Insider program. So that way you also gain access to our reports and other content that's coming out, discounts for other events in the future.
Yes.
And that's 119 at the small operator price. However, if you are only interested in these single events and there's only one or two in the diary that really interest you, they are available a la carte, as we might say. And this one's $39 for this particular event.
Great. That's very reasonable. As I said earlier on, I see a lot of content masterclasses that are a lot more expensive than that. So thank you for making it a reasonable price at $39. And also, I appreciate you at Arival for offering scholarships, because we know that a lot of our listeners, a lot of operators are struggling right now. So it's good of you to have the opportunity. And as I constantly remind people that, you are a business yourselves at Arival. You need to generate revenue to keep going. So I'm very, very, very grateful that you're making this generous offer available to tour operators.
No, absolutely. And I think it's really important as well for all of these events, because there is that networking component and there's the community component to it, that actually we do have a large range from different levels all participating. So for us, making sure that the price point is always as low as we possibly can, and that we offer these other incentives as well, such as the scholarship program, just means that we can learn from so many around us rather than just honing in on maybe just the commercial element, which, as we all know, and anyone that's participated in one of the Arival events, is really not focused on that side of things. So for me, I'm very proud that we're able to do these from Arival's perspective as well.
And also, I will add these links where you can go register and check out the agenda and see if it's for you. You can find them at tourpreneur.com/144. And if you do register under the code, if you write in Tourpreneur, the kind people at Arival are giving us a small affiliate commission, which will help keep the lights on here at the Tourpreneur studio. And again, I'm a business too, so I appreciate it.
And I need your emails every single day. So I can't possibly imagine a world now without Tourpreneur giving me my updates for what's going on in the industry. So.
Well, a victim of its own success. Now my MailChimp fees are going up every month because there's so many thousands that are on the list. When I started, it was like free. Now it's like, every month I get that bill through from MailChimp. And it's like, yeah, well, if you want a big list, you have to pay for that. So I thank you for it. And also, I was just thinking earlier on when I was preparing for this episode that the last time we featured you on Tourpreneur was Arival Orlando 2019. Or certainly the last time we spoke was Arival Orlando 2019. And I'm hoping and I'm optimistic that I will see you at Arival Orlando 2021.
Indeed. I was
in person.
Those web pages up the other week. So yeah, we're hoping to do a hybrid event, like fingers crossed. Obviously we're keeping a very close eye on how things are going. But yeah, if anyone's interested, you can have a little look on arivalevents.com. We haven't got registration up yet. that will be coming very shortly.
I'm jumping the gun. I'm jumping the gun. I'm just excited.
There.
I'm just excited.
I'm excited. Looking at the hotel, I was like, it's got amazing outdoor space. So I think hopefully, all things considered, if it goes ahead, it's going to be a really nice experience.
It's just going to be so good. Not to say that we don't want a good agenda and schedule and learning and all of that, but, just to be able to have a beer with you, Jessica, and with Douglas and with the team and everybody else in the industry, it's going to be a really surreal experience. And it's like, I don't want to think about it too much because, yes, indicators are good, certainly here in the US, that we'd have all been vaccinated certainly by then. But, I want to keep my feet on the ground as well. There's a lot that could happen, but I'm really, really, really hoping to be at Arival Orlando 2021.
It's going to be a really great event. I remember the other day seeing a little meme that made me laugh, which was we are 365 days into our 2-week quarantine. And I don't think any of us saw that we were going to be here. But for me, definitely Orlando is kind of like, I don't want to be too hopeful. We've all learned that lesson so many times now, but it is a bit of a shining beacon that will be a large signifier for us that things are really recovering and we'll be able to move forward into 2022 in a really positive step.
As long as I've had that jab, my feeling is I'm not traveling anywhere till I've had the jab. And I know we're all different, but that's my view. As long as I've had it by then, I will be there. So
you better.
I will be there.
A beer.
Good stuff. Jessica, really excited for the content masterclass. I say 24th, 25th of March. Go to tourpreneur.com/144 for all the details that we've shared on today's show. And looking forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. And I'm looking forward to learning so much in those 2.5 days.
Perfect. Yes. Thank you very much for having us here. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for listening to the Tourpreneur podcast. Be sure to visit tourpreneur.com to join the conversation and access the show notes, including links to the resources mentioned on today's episode. This is Tourpreneur.